fast today's class was. I just really wanted to spend time with each of you. I'm going to do a quick little video about patterns, and then when we get back together again, we'll do it together in class. How's that sound? Sorry, I'm just looking around for my penguin. So I did not draw this penguin. This is a demonstration purposes only penguin that I got off Noun Project, which is a place for people to go and get vector-based stuff. So I'm going to start with this penguin. You can use anything you want. You can use leaves, you can use hearts, you can use stars, you can use flowers that you've drawn. All you need to begin with is a vector-based object or a group of vector-based objects. So let's do this. Let's do the parent and the child. So I have these two vector-based objects. I'm going to go up to Object and all the way down to Pattern. And I'm going to say Make. And two things happen simultaneously. I get a notification that the pattern that I just made is in the swatches panel, which I'll show you in a second. And the pattern window pops up. So I'll say OK. And if I come over here to the swatches down at the bottom, you can see my new pattern. If I double click on the name, I can change the name to penguins. All right? Now, what the machine is showing me is what my pattern will look like when it's finished. This is the tile. So if you've ever seen a pattern on tile, you'll understand what it is you're looking at. Right now, she looks like she's standing on her own head. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. These paths work like every other path you've ever worked with. I can move them over. I can change the color. If I, well, sorry, you have to be working inside this tile. That's what I was doing wrong. If I want them to be the same color, I can use my eyedropper tool to do that. And then I can go get these paths and do it again. I can, using this tool, I can change the type of tiling grid. And when you make your own pattern on Friday, I'm going to encourage you to play with this. And if they're hexagons, notice that they overlap. And if you come down here, you can have some agency about the type of overlap. Notice that these paths, this part is empty. This is the path out here. And so I can see kind of through one through another. I can also, if I go back to my regular grid, if I wanted them to be closer together, I could make these numbers slightly smaller. So instead of 1.8, if I make it 1 and 1, see, it's pushing the tiles closer together so they overlap. You can't do that with real tile, but you can do it here. If I click this button again, it goes back to where it was. And so I'm done now. This is the pattern that I want, for good or for ill. I want this to be a very light background pattern. So if I come up here to the controls and say done, so you say, well, what happened? Where'd my pattern go? The answer is the pattern is here inside the swatch palette. I can now take these vector paths and move them off to the side. This is what I wanted the pattern to do. If I draw this box and I come over here to my fill and I fill it with penguins, now I have this perfect repetitive pattern that I can use as a background. And if I decide that I want the pattern to be smaller, I can come to the scale tool, remember the scale tool, put my finger on the option key, because when I click I want that little box that gives me all the details. So right now it thinks I want to scale this 50%, and I do, but I only want to scale the penguins. So I come down here, the preview button's on so I can see what's happening, and I click off objects. The square is the object. That's what we were scaling before when we were using this tool. But I don't want to scale the object. I only want to scale the pattern. And then I can make it as teeny tiny or as absolutely humongoid as I would like. Okay, so let's go for somewhere in between. And then if I say to myself, you know what, they're still too dark because I'm going to put these penguins on top of them. If I come over here, not to the name, but to the little icon and double click, I'm back inside the pattern tool. And so I can go in and change the pattern again. I can go into this color and make it lighter, just as an example. Or I can move stuff around if I want to and make it lighter. Alright, and then again, when I'm done, and you'll notice when I come out, it has automatically updated. It got lighter and their faces got blue. Alright, so we'll talk about this more in class on Wednesday. In Wednesday, you're all going to take an element from the work that you're doing in progress and make a pattern for me. But I just wanted you to understand, this is not a bad thing to do if you wanted to create a background with interest. Now, because I made this pattern without any background color, right? I just created these penguins. Watch what happens. If I copy this and paste it, can you see that it's see-through? Now, with penguins, this might not be the most interesting thing in the world, but if you had a bunch of leaves and you took two leaf patterns, you laid them on top of each other, and maybe you did that, bear in mind that there's all kinds of things you can do with repetitive patterns. We'll talk more about this on Friday. I just wanted to show it to you. I know I went too fast in class, and again, there's only so much time in a class period, and it's tough to get everything done. All right, Slack or email me with questions.